Good day, sisters and brothers, One Nation Tribal Alliance, friends and families and community near and far. Today, we're doing our weekly native talk, and I'm here in a great city of Zuni Pueblo. I could show you all more, but I'm hiding it. No. You can see the blue skies. I'm outside. It's a beautiful weather. I mean, it is 54 degrees with the wind chill dropping it back down to 42. So excuse the jacket. But other than that, it's a beautiful blue sky as you can see in my background. Anyway, I am here with Eve, Sister Elder Eve Howard. And today we're going to talk about shape shifting and various phenomenons that we have experienced on reservation. So, being a gentleman again, I will allow Eve to go ahead and introduce herself and start out with her part.
Yeah.
So,
With my true tale.
yeah.
So this started I lived when I was younger, I lived in an area that was sequestered between three reservations. There was uh the well, it was all Ojibwe reservations, but there's like a little area that was between White Earth where I'm from, and then there was Leech Lake, and then there was Red Lake. So, in this little area, I lived there. I went to school, high school there. I went to college there. And I was probably about 18, 19 years old. And I was with my significant other, my boyfriend, who eventually was my husband. We have two kids together. But we were like younger and around 18, 17. We weren't contemplating children and marriage at that point. But one of the things was we were spending some time where I lived. He lived about 20 miles away in Cass Lake. So that was about a 20-minute drive for me. We picked up, one of our friends, and we were going to go to a movie and we were going to go, hang out and just do things that, teenagers do. And one of the things was is we left. I had his mother said, he has to be home by 12:30 at the latest. Like his curfew is usually midnight, but I'll let you go till 12:30. And I was like, all right, cool. So we're heading back and it's dark out. It's summertime. I remember it was warm. It wasn't cold. There was no snow on the ground. And um we were leaving the town that I lived in, and there was like an old, like, back road, the old Cass Lake Highway. And you could take that one. It's like really, really windy, and there's a lot of deer. But there's not that many, police officers and radar. So I could have gone a little bit faster, but not as fast because of the deer. Or else I was coming up to where I had to either go on the old Cass Lake Highway or take the road to the interstate or to the freeway, which was Highway 2. And so I'm slowing down because I'm like, should I go this way or should I just stick to the freeway? There's if anything happens, there's going to be more traffic. I'm trying to think like an adult here. And so I'm slowing down and I happen to like kind of look up because, I'm going straight, but I could take a left. And there's a woman, like a hitchhiker, standing on the side of the road. And like one of the weird things that I noticed right away is that she's wearing like a whole bunch of like layers of clothing. And it was summer. So, summers in Minnesota aren't that bad. They're like 60, you know, as long as there's not a really bad wind or rain, it's relatively mild. So I just thought that was really odd that she was wearing like a whole bunch of clothing to the point where she looked like she was actually bigger than probably what she was. But I mean, it was hard to tell underneath all the layers. So as we get up closer to it, it's like, midnight and my lights are on. And as far as I know, when I'm like walking on the road and a car's coming up towards me and the lights are on, I can't see inside the car. So I can't tell you how many people are in there, you know, male, female, whatever. I can't tell. I don't know. Maybe other people can tell, but I can't. So like one of the things that I noticed about this person right away was it was a woman. She was rather tall, like kind of really tall, and she was comically like, she had so many layers on. She looked kind of chunky, but she probably wasn't that big. And as I'm looking at her, she makes eye contact with me from outside the car. And I was just, that was like shocking because it's almost like someone just kind of lightly, you got to like somebody shushes along the carpet and then touches you. Kind of a shock. It was like, whoa, how can she see in the car? And so I'm still slowing down at this point because I'm about ready to take a left. And she's like, right, like the road kind of goes like this. And there's like another way this way and then a left and then you can go straight. Well, I was about ready to take a left. So I'm slowing down. And she looks at me. And as she looks at me, she smiles. And I didn't think anything of it at first. I thought it was kind of weird. Why would she just be, there was nobody with her. So why would she be, smiling at a car in the dark? But she ended up like the top, like her jaw just dropped down. And when she smiled, she started showing her teeth. And I started to see that they were very thin, like very thin. And they're very sharp. I'd say they're about 2 to 3 inches long. They were really big. Um, and I think, okay, I don't say anything at first as I'm looking at this woman. And my boyfriend next to me, all of a sudden he just starts to like, hit me. Like, the way guys do when they see a really cute girl, except for it was very urgent. He's whacking me and he's not saying anything. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I mean, I don't know what to do. I was like, at that point, I just immediately, it was like everything was still going. The car was going, everything was going, but my mind just couldn't take out what I was seeing because at that point, I hadn't seen very much of things like this. So I didn't really know what to think of it. I guess I would say the first thing I thought was fear. Like I was afraid because I'm seeing something that is very out of the normal. Um, and it was terrifying to me. Anyway, I'm like, I'm still a baby at this point. To me, I was still a baby. I mean, at the time I was an adult, but now I look back at it, if my kids would have came and told me something like this, I would have thought, oh my gosh, that's horrible. And I never told my parents about it, but this woman with her jaw dropped down and these sharp teeth, and she's staring and smiling at us, which is, scary anyway. I think at this point, I'm the only person seeing this. And I don't know why my boyfriend was hitting me, but I'm like staring at something so intently within, like a second and a half that I don't notice it. He's hitting me. And then he's like, go, go. And then I hear our passenger in the back seat, our friend, who has passed on, um, not too long after, a couple years after this incident. And he said, do you see her? And I won't swear, but it started with an F. And he's like, do you see her teeth? So now I notice that the guy in the backseat is seeing it as well. And then my boyfriend's like screaming. He's like, go, go, go. And he just puts his hand on my knee and he pushes down on the gas. And we fly by her. We end up going straight. And I remember just like we were just all three people were talking at once, oh my God, how did she see? I'm sitting there, how did she even see us in this dark car? It's nighttime. And my boyfriend's like, why did her jaw do that? He's like, did you see her jaw just drop? I mean, everybody saw it. We were making the same comments. I'm assuming we saw the same thing because we were describing it. And probably about 4 years ago, I was just, discovering being listening to podcasts and I think it was Coast to Coast was my first one that I actually listened to. And so I kind of got hooked on them. So this gentleman contacted me. I can't remember what it was. We were like in some sort of group about scary stories on the res or something. And he happened to see when I posted that and he's like, I'd like for you to come on the podcast. He's like, do you have other stories? I said, oh yes, I have all kinds of stories. I was like, if you're into UFOs and aliens, I have that. I have cryptids, I have spirits, um what I could be described as as what a celestial looks like to me. I was like, all kinds of stuff. And he's like, no, he's like, he's like, I just want you to come on and he's like, write up this little thing on like each story, the name that you gave the story, and just a little brief description, and I'll pick them. And I was like, okay, cool. So he picked this one, and this story he gave the name. It was like Evil Wants a Ride, and this is the T-shirt that I have. I have the drawing somewhere, but I have to go in and unearth it somewhere in storage. But this is the woman that I saw, and I actually before I made this drawing, I went and I contacted my ex-husband and I showed him the drawing and we went over it together and we made changes like, cuz I mean, it's been how many years since this happened? 33 years or, around there. And you can forget things or you can think you thought you saw something, but I mean, together we actually came out and it was like very close to our memories of what we remember it to be. So I brought this on the podcast. We talked about a lot of the stories, which are some of the ones that I'm going to talk about today. And these aren't just stories like people talking about, passing down or I heard through so and so's uncle's cousin's brother's roommate. This is, something that happened to me. And, I wouldn't, I think he based this off of my sketch that I sent to him. So it's very close to what I had drawn for him, and I have a couple of other drawings for some of the other stories too. So we'll go over that. But that was like one of like I didn't know what it was, and I think I had a guest on who was his name was Psychic Daniel, and I was talking about this incident, and I didn't know what it was. Was it a ghost? Was it a shapeshifter? What was it? And what it was is it was like a very bad spirit, a very bad entity. And it showed itself to me at that point. And I didn't know why the people in the car could see what I was seeing. But I was told by by Daniel that I have this ability so that people that are in very close proximity to me can see the things that I see. So I don't know if it's just, my way of making sure I have a witness for some of these crazy things that I see that, I mean, if I'm insane, so are the other people that seen it with me because we've all talked about it and we've all seen, very kind of like the same things. There's a very minute.
Yeah, it's yeah, I understand what you're
Yeah.
saying, and because it's really hard to explain to people what we experience on reservations because we're Zuni, for instance, is isolated. We're the only way I could explain is the closest Walmart from us is about an hour away,
Mm-hmm.
and that's in Gallup, New Mexico, or
Mm-hmm.
Grants, New Mexico. And Grants is 73 miles. Gallup is like it's 50 miles, but it's up and down the mountains and everything, the whole 9 yards. So and but anyway, being isolated, a lot of things go on, and people out here have seen so much. I'm gonna go into shapeshifting because there's a lot of shapeshifting going on out here,
Mm-hmm.
and people are so used to it. Some of the villages on reservations, when it comes 9 o'clock at night, when the suns go down, they hide. I mean, they close all the windows.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, put strong curtains on them, so no light gonna go out, no light going, nothing gonna come in. And if because we have a lot of peeping toms also, so you don't want them to be peeping in your window, So naturally you're gonna like you're insulating your window, you're gonna put about 10 curtains on it. but but anyway, we get so used to our shapeshifters. I mean, now you can sit outside at nighttime and you can hear the dogs start barking coming from the east. And when they come from the east, you can see them come in to where they will, the dogs will come from the east barking, and
Mm-hmm.
it'll go to, and I tell them, I say, you can either go to the village and take a south because we have a cemetery on the south. And whoever that shapeshifter is going to concentrate on their mission.
Mm-hmm.
So the people will leave them alone. Even if they see them, they just leave them alone, let them be. And I've been talking about this, and I brought a friend of mine, good friend of mine. Um, we drove down here from, and she decided, she says, I want to see one. I want to see one. So we stayed at our local
Mm-hmm.
bed and breakfast place here in town, and we're sitting on top of the loft. We were staying in the second floor room, and we were sitting on side, and I said, okay, right, let's go outside. So we went outside, and I said, now listen to the dogs and follow it. And she was sitting there listening because it was cold and I was wrapped up in a blanket sitting there, and she was just listening out, listening out. All of a sudden, she sat up straight, and I noticed it. She said, what do you do? And she said, oh my God, let's go get him. I said, what? And she said, basically, you know, she said, you can't, you can't do, no, you can't go in, sir. My sister will not allow you. She didn't give me permission. So sorry about that.
No, you're good. I was watching you look over, so I
But it,
figured there was something going
yeah,
on.
yeah. Grandkids,
Mm.
they try to rule the house,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm big enough to whoop all of them. No, but anyway, I she sat up and and she looked down and she says she saw a half man, half werewolf,
Mm-hmm.
and she said it's probably about 7 foot tall, but it's on his all fours right now. And when she measured, she's using the window of one building to measure the height of it. That window was about 3 feet high, and his back was about another uh, 8 inches higher than the 3 foot. So it's about 3 foot 8 inches high on his back. So it's a big one. And
Mm-hmm.
I said, well, that's why we leave him alone. And he went south. And I said, well, they're just going under me. And to this day, she freaks out about that. And I said, it's a normal thing out here, normal thing.
It is.
And when I was a cop out here at one time.
Mm.
After my military days, I decided to become a law enforcement officer, so I did. And one of the investigations that we did was, at the first they were saying it was suicide, and so
Mm-hmm.
we went to go investigate it. And when we saw the body, it was a body of a woman who was upper part human,
Mm-hmm.
and she was laying like a wolf, all four on the side, like a dog when they get run over, on the side of the road, But that's the way she was laying with her paws still, wolf paws on her. And we took pictures of it. And so, you know, that's that's the way, you know, you know, things happen around here. And
Mm-hmm.
I know in Navajo, their shapeshifters fly. And when you know, part of the things that I always talk about, you know, when you get into the esoteric chakras of your energy, once you pass your heart chakra, you go into your throat, pineal, and your crown. That's the esoteric chakras, which is, the higher realm and in the higher dimension, to where things like this happen. and remote viewing, shape shifting, all this happened. And so, a lot of people, they used to use it as healing purposes, but now the dark got a hold of it, and now they use it differently. Now they do it to go after people to steal their essence, and some of them actually fly. And our neighbors, the Navajos, call it chindi, meaning a shapeshifter. And they do have a lot around here. And again, being isolated, it's everywhere. So, these are some of the things that we experience. And the most phenomenal part about it is that we have. I wish I could have more time here. I was going to take you to a place where we have. It's like a hole on side of a mountain, and it's a time warp zone or whatever you call it, time pass zone, where
Mm-hmm.
you can, if you go in, our my people tell you don't go in there, because if you go in there, you don't know where you're going to end up or if you're going to come back. And I always share the story, and a good friend of mine decided to come visit with me down here. He said, "Oh, I want to do this." He was in the dark. He said he had three friends who always with him, which was the three demons in him.
Mm.
And and I told him, I said, whatever you do, do not go over to that thing. I showed him that place. I said, do not go over to that place, because if you do, whatever you got in you is going to get sucked out. He said, no, no, no. My buddies are with me all the time. So I went over there and I said, just raise your hand and just enjoy the whatever it does to you. And sure enough, he did that. And also, those demons got sucked out of him.
They got
And he
sucked in
started
how?
he
There.
started crying. He
Oh.
started crying. And I said, are you okay? He said, I lost my buddies. I lost my buddies. And then he came back, and then his heart started racing. I mean, his heart's so bad. We're going to spend another night in Zuni before we head back. We were living in Texarkana at the time. And so we were going to do that. But then his heart was so pounding, so bad. His pulse rate was up to 150 minutes per beat in a minute. And he said, we got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. I don't feel comfortable. Get out of here. And so we left 2 o'clock in the morning, and we started heading back to Texarkana. And he drove like 20 minutes and said, I can't drive no more. I can't drive no more. So I drove. I drove from just 20 minutes out all the way to Texarkana. And that's like a good 15-hour drive, nonstop, just other than just stop for gas and restroom break.
Mm-hmm.
We drove straight through. And when we got to Texarkana, he says, I feel sick. I feel sick. So I said, okay. So he let me stay a night at his house because my ride wasn't going to come to the next day. And
Mm-hmm.
so I got up. My ride was here, and I tried to say goodbye to him, and he couldn't even get up. And he got sick so bad because the dark's got to collect. So he got sick so bad that he said that he ended up with COVID and lost 40 pounds
Ooh.
that day. And, to me, I said, well, if he got COVID, I rode with him for 12 hours. Why did he not get COVID? And the thing of it is, because I never got jabbed. Well, I did get the first one, and my
Mm-hmm.
doctor got mad about it. But they snuck a jab on me. But other than that, I didn't get the others. And and it's because the COVID was because I did not believe in it. I said, my creator, father, mother is a lot more powerful than that microscopic germ that's going to try to stop you.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that's the way things happen, and
Yeah.
And so, that's the way I looked at it. But these are just a couple things that has happened. There's a lot more things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
A lot more things. I mean, um, again, this place that I was telling you about, it's 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 like you go in there. We've seen we. I mean, we got some pretty blank, nosy people that you tell them that's what that thing is. Do not go. Do not go. Are they going to listen? Heck,
No.
no, no. So they're just two outsiders that were knew about it, decided to go through it. We know they're going good because the cars parked there. They went up there into that, but they've never been heard of since. So,
Jeez. Yeah, that's
hmm,
you should when somebody says don't go there, I highly suggest you don't go there. I mean, I highly do. I used to have a lot of friends that lived in Dulce, which is about what, 3, 4 hours, 4 hours about from where you're at, or maybe,
those in New Mexico got
yeah.
some good friends out there. You know,
They
s-
said during the day.
southern, well, not southern you, but the Apaches. What do you call them? Jicarillos? Yeah, Jicarillos. Jicarillo Apache. I call them
Mm-hmm.
Jicarillo. It's Jicarillo. I said Jicarillo. Jicarillo. No, but yeah, good friends up there. Good people. Good
Mm-hmm.
people. Before you get into Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. But I think it was like I had a couple of friends on my friends list, and this was my old Facebook. I don't have it anymore. I got locked out. So I had to make a new one. But they were like talking about, because we all like met on this group on Facebook, and it was like um scary stories, or scary the scariest reservation stories or something like that. And so I don't know what, we all got booted because we thought we were being funny. And there was an admin there that was no goofing around with this person. You couldn't even joke around. They'd boot you. So we got booted. So we made our own little group page, and we started, sharing our experiences. Well, a lot of these people, or they were indigenous, from Dulce, and they were talking about a lot of strange noises that they hear, and they assume it's coming from the base that's up there. But like, I've had people tell me that you can, if you want to see anything, like they said, during the day, if you're like in town, I mean, obviously these people live there, and these, what I'm assuming are aliens, just walk around on the street, just broad daylight, and everybody's okay with it, and no one says anything, and they're trying to tell people this, and people are like, oh yeah, whatever, and they're like, no, you don't understand. And I mean, I get it, because I think when I was in Arizona.
Okay, I'm gonna add something to that.
Okay, go ahead, please
You
do.
know why it's like that?
Probably kind of the same way Zunians.
No,
No.
there is a big underground military base down
Yeah,
there.
I did want to say that, but I didn't know how much I could say on YouTube, so
I
that's why I
beat
said
you
the
to it.
base. No,
Beat you
I
to it.
did. I did.
Okay.
Um, no, but I've actually done some studying on a couple of those, in the area there, and in Nevada as well. How many sublevels, and what exactly goes on there. But there are other non-human beings that are on the base, and there's a certain floor that no humans are allowed. So you can kind of imagine what goes on there. But I think it was like, I went to Arizona. I know this was strange. I had my medicine man was friend. I was friends. We've been friends since we were like little kids, like, well, teenagers. And he was like talking about. He asked me. He showed me a picture, and like it was just like a side picture, and you saw a telephone pole, and like I was focusing on that telephone pole for some reason. I was like, It just kind of felt like there was like a little, like a something different about the area on the sides of the pole. And he goes, "Do you see that there?" And I go, by the telephone pole, right? I said, "There's like an area right there where it's a little bit different." And he goes, "Yeah, that's it." And he goes, "What is that?" And I was like, "That's just a watcher. That's all they do. That's their whole job. I don't know how much they get paid hourly, but they just watch. That's all they do. They don't interact. They don't, show themselves incomplete. But what I was seeing was probably about maybe 15% of it, and most of it was the energy outside of it.
Okay,
Um,
hold on a
mhm.
second, hold on a second. I'm gonna do something
Okay.
unusual. This is my great grandbaby. This is Bump. Say hi.
Hi. How are you? Oh my goodness, how old? Three?
I don't know. Bump.
3, 4.
I call him Bump.
Bump.
Say, there you go. You bump and go your hand like
Adorable.
this, and it comes bing, like that. But
She's
anyway,
so cute.
yeah, my grandbaby, but great,
Oh,
great, great. Yeah, I'm that old now. No, it's my sister's grandbaby,
great grandbaby.
and yeah, I'm staying at my sister's right now while in Zuni, and you know, she's outside. I'm supposed to be babysitting, but I say you better hold my hand. If you get lost, I'm not going to look for you.
Like not like
or,
me when I was 3. I used to just take off. That was
or I would tell him, I said, you better get some salt and pepper, take it with you, so that if the bears eat you up in the mountains, you can season yourself. But anyway, back to, I'm sorry. I had a
No.
little, I mean, this is for real. I love our native talk. We got to be for real. I'm on a reservation, so I can do whatever I want. Anyway,
Well, I mean, you're in an area that is extremely beautiful that you grew up around, and of course you're going to be like, you know,
yeah,
I
I'm
was like
not.
that. I'd be like, oh, did I go to school with this person? Do I know this person?
Yeah. But
Or knowing
I'm
everybody.
outside, and I'm outside, so everything's going on out here. Crows are flying, buzzards are flying. No, rabbits are
Yeah,
looking at me. No.
that was weird. I lived in this town, I've lived in North Dakota and this in Fargo, and I've never ever seen an eagle anywhere around here. Well, there's like an eagle that just showed up
Uh-huh.
recently. I was like running outside, almost ran over my kid to get some tobacco out. It's like, wait, there's some tobacco out there. There's an eagle out there. I was like, I haven't seen one, unless I go to the reservation, which I don't like to do because when I do go there, I'm not saying I don't like to go there. I'm just saying it seems like lately you go there, it's like for someone's being sick or someone's, passed away. Um, I want to have good memories.
Yeah. Well, to me, when somebody passed away, it's not bad. I
No,
said, I said, you sucker, you left me behind. No. But
it
anyway.
was just when my dad was sick and in the hospital, I had like an aversion to the hospital, like the smell
Oh.
and everything like that. And it's almost like sometimes when I like that memory is triggered, I can almost smell the disinfectant,
mm,
you know, and the cleaning supplies that they used is like, ooh, what is that? That's horrible.
yeah. Yeah. But
But
the best, I guess, on a reservation, there's so many stuff that are going on that people are aware of, that we used to be told, like we some of the things that we were told is that don't be whistling at night,
mhm,
because you're calling the dark.
right, it's
You're
a
whistling to,
frequency.
yeah, it's the frequency. It's not a high frequency that you're whistling, and so, you know, you don't whistle at dark, and you you don't stay at night. You don't, you sit down and you be humble, because it's a time when people sit and meditate or
Mhm,
pray.
mhm,
So you don't want to, you know, be in such in a rowdy place to where you you're disturbing them. You're disturbing Mother Earth's connection.
mhm.
So that's what people talk about. And of course, we feed the spirits too. Out here, and a lot of people ask me,
Yeah.
how can a spirit eat a solid food? Well, how do you eat a solid food? Do you survive from that solid food? No, because it comes out.
Hmm.
I mean, it's the spirit of the food that nourishes the
Right.
spirit in you.
The energy feeding energy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The vitamin A, the vitamin D, vitamin C,
Hmm.
those are the spirit of the food. And that that's you know, because you can't see it, you know. Can you see vitamin C? Can you see vitamin A?
Oh, but
B12?
I see an orange and I see a carrot. I see that. As soon as you start saying them, I start seeing them. But yeah, I know what you mean. Like, because I mean, that was one of the things my kids said, how we were putting out the spirit plate. How, is uncle, because my brother passed away, how is uncle going to eat this? So I mean, it was trying to explain, to my kids, how my brother was going to, you know, take on the nourishment of the spirit plate for his journey. Um, yeah, I like it. I like it when kids ask questions like that, because I mean they're learning. They are,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I did some teachings in Cherokee, North Carolina, and one of the students talked about the spirit bowl. So she
Mhm.
said, I'm gonna try that when I get home. So he created. I mean, his spirit bowl is like a big old soup bowl. He said, "Hey, pop all that food in there," and I took it outside, and I said, "All right, I'm gonna put it right here. Spirits come and eat." Next morning, I got out to go get the bowl. It was empty, and his mind was blown.
Mhm.
He said, "Did they really come eat that spirit?" I said, "Was it empty?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Okay." And he says, "How did they come eat it?" I said, "I don't know. I don't know how Cherokees eat their food, but you know, And he goes, "Wow." So he made a believer out of him. And I said, when you put stuff like this out, you know, it's for blessings, energy exchange.
Mhm.
And that's another thing phenomenon I want to talk about is energy exchange. You know, when you do healings, I always tell people donation.
Mhm.
And, you know, if it really, even if it's $10 and that's the last thing they got, and if it really comes from the heart to say, I want to be healed because I'm exchanging energy with this person, you know, that's that would do the healing. But if you say, well, if you're a multimillionaire and you just give them, oh, $5 for healing, is that going to heal a person? No,
Mm-mm.
because the energy exchange wasn't as big, and everything. And so, you know, it's like the story. Here I am with the Bible again. I don't know why it's coming to me, but there's a story in the Bible where a little poor lady had a penny and he went to go give the offering of a penny. When he got there where they were giving offerings, the rich people, they clang, 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 give the offering into
Mhm.
the bowl and make sure everybody heard what kind of money they're putting in that bowl because there's clanging. But the little old lady didn't have that much clanging, so she just had a little penny and she slipped it into the bowl quietly. She got the biggest blessing of them all.
But
So
she gave all.
yeah,
She gave everything
because
she
she get,
had.
hmm and that's the thing that when I share the knowledge I talk about, you have to give it all. When you meditate, give it all. When you say your prayers, give it all. You know, and I've always been taught since I was a kid about giving it all. If you're gonna fast, give it all. If you're gonna do whatever you do, give it to your heart's content. Don't just do. My dad always tell me, don't do a half job because you're gonna end up going back and
Mhm.
doing it again. Repeat the work.
I don't know who told me that. They said halfway is half-ass.
So I left some of the vocabulary out, you know.
My colorful language. Yeah.
Yeah, that way. So, and so we always did everything to complete it. And uh, my partner and I were moving, and we get big load of stuff to take it to our new place. And I told her, let me do all the heavy lifting. Of course,
Mhm.
everything in the car was heavy, so I did most of the work, lifting it in the car, packing it and everything. And we got to the house. She goes, "You're tired, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm tired." And it was an hour drive to our new place. And we drive, and then she'll say, "We'll get back. I don't want you to unload it tonight. You can unload it till tomorrow. You need to rest. You need to rest." And when we got get home, I was so fired up. She says, "What'd you do?" I said, "I was motivating myself while you were driving. Say, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it." And we got home. I unloaded the car, you know, and now I was tired and everything, but I rested. Next day, we did it again. And to where, you know, it's, I have to finish what I started. Just can't leave it halfway done, you know, and because my dad says, because something's going to happen. You're going to end up starting it from the beginning. So you might as well start and finish, so you don't have to worry about it, which is true. Once you finish the job, you don't think about it. You know, you know.
Mhm.
So, um, where was I going with that? Oh, where I, where I was going with it is that, you know, when you are when healers are out there healing, allow them to complete. Allow them to complete, because a lot of healers will tell you, you know, just because they heal you once and you got the energy exchange, that doesn't stop there. If they're good healers, they follow up on their patients.
Mhm.
They follow up on them. Maybe
I
two or
would say.
3 days later, check up on them. How are you feeling now? Are you getting any better? If not, let's do it this route. Let's try this way. Let's, because if you really are connected with that person, your guides will tell you she's healed, but still follow up with them.
Mhm.
Or they might tell you it's going to be difficult. And you call them, "Well, I'm not too well. Do something else again. You know, get your and get back in there. Get your oomph and get back in there.
Mhm.
So until it's done, and you know, it's you know, it's just unbelievable about how these phenomenons and these special things work, because half the time, you know, we don't even know how it's going to happen. So, you know, you
Mhm.
got anything else? I know I'm talking. I'm gibbering. No.
Oh, I know how that is. No, it's like you're talking about healing and everything. That kind of I remembered something. I was like right after, because I've always been able to hands-on heal people since I was like little, but I would take on a lot of their issues. Like if they were having if they're having a headache, then I'd have a headache. If they had toothache, I'd have a toothache. And I learned how to, you know, cast it off. Um, no, I don't know where I was going with that. What the heck? What is it? Foggy day? Is it Foggy Wednesday? Um, but I mean, it's just it's being given. Um, I feel
No.
very
Okay.
like
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
total gratitude. I'm sorry. I had to get that out.
Okay. Let's have a timeout and say, I know what you're saying.
I know what you're
Straight
saying.
up. Straight up.
I know what you're saying. Straight up.
These, as a healer, what we experience, other people's illness. And
Mm-hmm.
the reason why we feel that is because we are helping them combat that illness, you know, and it does take a lot of our energy to
Mm-hmm.
where, you know, you can't be a healer 24/7 because you need to rest. Even if you look at some of the videos or movies about Jesus doing the healings, this one clip came to my mind is when he went to Lazarus in the cave and called out him to raise him from the dead. It took so much energy of him that he just collapsed and laid there on the ground. And one of the things that we experience is that when there is energy exchange in a spiritual of healingness, this is what you will encounter. And this is why cleansing and protection and your relics are very important. Your guides are very important to call upon, to be
Mm-hmm.
ready, to get yourself fired up to go to do the healing. That's what we were trying to get to. When she says when you say you feel the other person's headache, or like you talk about one story about when the bear got hit, you felt that pain from the
Mm-hmm.
bear because you both exchanged energy to where you were going to help him. Your energy is going to help him heal and all that. You know, I've had people before they pass on to the next life, before they cross over, come to me and tell me, you know, my mother called me before she died and said, "Son, I'm going home." I said, "Yes, you're coming home." "No, I'm going home. I'm tired." I said, "Yes, you're coming home. I'm cooking for you. When you come home, you're gonna eat. You're gonna go night." No, no. She says, and she told my sister, "I'm going home," and she did. Just in a blink of an eye. You know, and so we know what it's like to feel the energy of stuff like that. Some empaths have told me a lot of stories about what they feel from the people before they even get to them,
Yeah.
or something going to happen. They feel it, and that's when you gotta sit back and say, if it's going to happen, you know, to me, you know, death is victory. It's not sad
No.
because
No.
you know
It's not at
people
all.
say no. You know, when my Texas mother, at 93-year old, when she had a major stroke and she all she did was sleeping, her face was contorted and everything, and she was ready to die. I called her. My Texas brother answered the phone and says, "I don't think she remember you. She just had a stroke." And I said, "Ask her." So he did. "Do you know Greg Yawakia?" "Yeah, that's my son." She perked up. "That's my son." And I said, "Good. Let me talk to her." So I got on the phone. I was talking to her, and she was telling me she's ready to go. And I said, "Okay, mother, just remember, I love you." And she goes, "I love you too, son. I love you like I born you. You're my son, like I born you." And I said, "I love you." And that's the last word I gave her because I want to be able to make sure that people that are crossing over are loved, because when they get in the spirit realm, they're going to remember that and they're going to protect us with their love.
Mhm.
So that's why I, you know, but if I miss telling them I love them, I feed them and I tell them I love them. So,
That's your love language. Your
mhm,
love language is food. I
yeah,
like
yeah.
Feed me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and
Love
that's
me, feed
that's
me now.
right. Love me, feed me. If you feed me, you love me. I mean, that's kind of how I am too. I mean, I was like yesterday I was making chicken and dumplings and I'm like throwing a whole bunch of stuff in there and they're like, "Do you measure?" And I'm like, "Never. I don't think I've ever measured anything unless I was like taking an actual recipe that I've never done before. I like my chili, I just throw everything in there, hot sauces and love, I mean, yeah, I feel the food. I sense the food. I mean, I'm like, I feel it, and I mean, I never over salt anything. I don't usually use too much salt anyway because, when I was taking care of my dad, he had to be on a low sodium diet. So I got to the point where I wasn't even using salt with my cooking anymore. I was like, if you want to season it, go right ahead. I'm just letting you know right now, there's no salt in it.
You know, we have a salt lake out here, the fresh salt,
Yes.
you know. So
I thought you said Salt Lick at first, and it made me think of deer hunting in Minnesota where they have those blocks of salt out
no, we
there.
have a salt lake out here, and I got a video on it on One Nation Tribal Alliance.
Ah,
But
I should go check it out.
yeah, yeah, I
Is it,
got
it
huh?
really light? Like almost like, like
Yeah,
the really
white, white,
fine
white,
sand?
white, white.
Yeah.
No, they come in chunks. We
Oh,
have to
do they?
grind it. We got a mano and matata grind it now. Yeah, but I'm gonna grab some Zuni salt and take it with me,
All
and
right.
I come to get my supply. I brought the one little suitcase. I might carry back two, but I got my supply. I have my supply, you know.
Yeah. I
But
always pack a bag. So a bigger bag. So if I had to carry on something, I can throw my purse in there, and anything else on top of it.
yeah,
Because I don't even pack that much, but I come back and my suitcase is about ready to just spring open.
so but anyway, I know we talked a lot about different things, which I think we're starting to get to, and you know, again, this week's native talk. I'm from Zuni. I'm in Zuni, and you can catch me at One Nation Tribal Alliance on Facebook and on YouTube channel. Watch our YouTube channel and like and subscribe. And this is my first time doing it on my cell phone, so please bear with me if I can get it processed today and try to premiere it today. If not, premiere it when I get home on my computer. So, other than that, Eve, you
All right. Well, I'm Eve Howard. I am from the White Earth Nation. You can reach me on Facebook on Eve Howard. I also have a Facebook for my podcast, which is Prime Declassified, and I also threw Prime Indigenous in there, so I wouldn't have like, you know, two sets of everything all over the place. And then I'm on Rumble, so you can find the podcast on Rumble. You can email me, Eve Howard21 at mail.com. Just make sure you're not putting a G in front of the mail because I won't get it. You can find sorry, Prime Declassified or Rising Spirit on Instagram, TikTok. Just look for Prime Declassified, Eve Howard. It'll both pop up.
okay. Well, I'm gonna see how I can end this. So y'all have a wonderful day and week, and we love you. This is our ongoing thing.
Yes.
Have a great day. We love you.
Bye.